He doesn't think that he's got to be a Shane Warne or anything like that, and he just bowls to his game plan and sums up the situations well. And as I said, he loves being in the contest, and you alluded to it. The first over, he got a little bit of tap, but then he's able to he manages to bring it back, and you need characters like that in your team. And if you're a spinner, you've got to have that. You've got to have that mental approach of what an Adam Zampa has, because you know you're going to get hit, but you've got to have a short memory as a spinner. Not worry about the last ball. Think about the next ball that you're going to bowl, and that's where Adam Zampa is really good, and that's why he strangles a lot of teams in those middle overs by keeping it nice and tight. A lot of commentators out there go, right, you've got to get wickets. You've got to look for the wickets. Adam Zampa, the reason why he gets wickets is because he keeps pressure on, and he doesn't, or he tries to prevent the batsman from hitting boundaries. In T20 cricket, one-day cricket, if you prevent batsmen from hitting boundaries, you're going to create those wicket-taking opportunities, because the batsmen are going to have to take a risk that they don't want to take. And it can't be any simpler than that.
Which was clearly the case with his LBW on Miller. Miller was obviously still loves to accelerate the game and find those boundaries, but in the end played maybe the right shot, maybe not the right shot, but Zampa knew as soon as he beat the bat, he had his man. Like it was just,
that's right. That's where you analyse the game. Like if I was a coach of South Africa with Miller there, you got to be careful with that, because if you overanalyse it, then all of a sudden you're talking about the nervousness of South Africa. And if you're telling Miller, well, that probably wasn't the right shot to play on that particular ball, well, for me, that would be rubbish, because Miller is very strong in that particular department. He was a little bit nervous in that game. All South African batsmen were nervous in that game. You want to get that positive mindset for the particular players and just say, the shot was there, mate. Just didn't execute it. The next game, I want you to go out and play the same shot, because that's your strength, and try and get that confidence in the particular player where you're actually backing his skill rather than trying to overcomplicate it and put too many things in his mind. And I think I read something the other day, and I said short memory a little earlier. The best sportsmen out there have a short memory. What I mean by that is, if something doesn't go right, or Miller's played that particular shot, they forget about it. They know it's his strength. The next time there's an opportunity to play that sweep shot, he'll go out and play it and execute it, because he's forgotten about the last opportunity that he missed out on.
Yeah, no, really good point, Hoggy. So 9 for 118, and it's a bit of an awkward number, really. Sometimes, those kind of small numbers can be blown away quickly, or become a little bit edgy as you try to approach that. So you really need a good start, I think, and really try to take the momentum of the game away from the opposition team. And I suppose to some degree, Warner looked like he was certainly intent on doing that. He punched, I think, 3 boundaries in his innings, 2 in one over Rabada. And everybody kind of felt that maybe this was Warner coming back into the sort of results that we know that he can produce, but then a good catch by Klaasen. So Australia then, themselves in the power play were 2 for 28, and probably still not quite that explosive start that they wanted to really make sure that they were going to take the game away from South Africa.
Yeah, they would have liked to be more in the power play, and I think they'll look at that moving forward. But then again, you look at David Warner, those 3 boundaries. The thing that I like about Warner, before the game, I was thinking, right, would they consider about putting Smith as an opening bat and dropping Warner, because they might need to go that way at some stage. But there was a slight difference in David Warner. Watching him through a bit of the IPL and even in the warm-up games, his weight was slightly back. Yesterday, he made a conservative effort. Right, I've got to get forward. I've got to get right back in the face of the bowler. And once he started to look to get forward, you could just see all the footwork was coming back. The timing was coming back. And even though it was a short, sharp innings, I think there were some good signs there for David Warner. And, you've got to look at that. And I think even Aaron Finch, the thing I like about Aaron Finch out the top of the order, those two need to get us off to a good start, because when they do, or when any team, your openers are the important phase, because they win you most games by getting off to a good start. But Aaron Finch over in Bangladesh, his weight was on the back foot. He's setting up just to play those big shots. But when your weight's on the big back foot and you don't get that momentum through the front foot with your backswing, you're not going to get that timing. And he slightly changed his approach as well. And that's why I wasn't too worried about him getting out early. I can just see those two starting to fire later on in the tournament. And even though the batsmen, some of the batsmen just had those short scores, I can see so many positives last night for Australia. And I'd written them off at the start. I think they can turn it around and really make an impact and at least get to the semi-finals this year.
All right. Well, we'll be following those predictions as we go along, Brad. Again, one of your compatriots, I'm sure you're always interested in looking at those, but this one much closer to home, to Rose Shamsi, left arm wrist spinner. Your thoughts there?
Oh, look, I love the way that he goes about it. He's got a little bit lower arms, where his arm comes through. It's a little bit lower, so he doesn't really get as much bounce as other leg spinners who bowl from a higher point. But what he does, he's very similar to Zampa. He knows his strengths. He wants to be in the contest. He wants that ball in hand. And when you've got a player like that, you've got to give him the ball. And he was the one that was going to turn the game around for South Africa. He got the big wicket for Maxwell, and that's when the game was still on a knife's edge. And it was just a pity that he didn't have one more over to bowl to the likes of Wade and Stoinis, because those two particular players would have thought, right, we've got an over of Rabada and Norkie to come, and they're going to be the hardest players to score. We might have to take on Shamsi. So Bavuma, just out the back end there, was running out of tactics, and that was simply because Australia went in with that extra batter, having Matthew Wade out number 7. Utilising the all-rounders ended up to be the best tactical move that was made before the game was played.
Yes, so which enabled, as you said, Australia, even though 5 wickets down, they still had 2 batters, good batsmen at the crease, and really that's what got them home in the end, because those two, both Wade and Stoinis, were able to find boundaries and get them across the line. So, all in all, I guess a reasonably solid win for Australia. Lots of learnings from it, I'm sure. But as you were saying before, for both teams, win or lose, nice to get out there, play a game, get your first one underway, and then get into the tournament. But there's nothing like kicking off with a win in a tournament to really set you in the right direction.
Exactly right. And if I was just going to look at one little point from last night's game where Australia might just have a word to one of the players, it might be just Starkey, Mitchell Stark. I thought he bowled well in that first over. You've got to look for the ball to swing and bowl a little bit fuller. I just think with that, if the ball's not swinging after about the 4th ball, probably try and bring it back a little bit. Just discuss that with him. When's going to be the right time to bring it back and bowl that back of the length like Hazelwood was bowling, because when you're bowling full, the ball coming on in those early overs, sometimes the opposition can get away from you, and it can make it difficult for the next over. And if Maxwell went for 11, then all of a sudden the whole dynamic of the game has changed, because Aaron Finch would have had to change his bowling formula up as well. So that's probably the only thing that they have to look at. Mitchell Stark, yes, look to get swing, but when is the right time to pull the rope out and not look for that swing? So that's probably the only headache that Australia have got, and that's a good headache to have.
Oh, they want to have, yeah. And look, he had some good people to look at too, didn't he? Cummins, Hazel, and then Rabada and Norkie all seem to bowl that sort of awkward length most of the time. So he's got some good balls to look at.
The other point there is that's why it's so important when you have your warm up as a bowler, you go out there and warm up that 10-minute period. You get your clothes on, go out there, bowl a couple of balls with a new ball, and just to see if it swings or not. If it's not swinging, you give yourself two balls to have an opportunity to swing it in the game. If it's not swinging, well, the next 4 balls you're back of a length, because you've had that little bit of preparation. And I think that's one thing that as cricketers in T20 cricket and 50 over cricket, we don't make the most of those first overs of seeing what the conditions are like with a proper pre-game warm up at the right time.
Yeah, no, great point, Hoggy. All right, well, look, that's a bit of a wrap from us today. Thank you very much for joining us, Brad. It's always a great pleasure to talk with you. And, of course, I hope you're going to join us again tomorrow, because we're going to do the same thing all over again with India and Pakistan. What a blockbuster that will be. And we'll be really enjoying your commentary of that one as well. So hopefully everybody will join us then, and look forward to being here with Brad. Look, just a final reminder about our competition. You know, they play, you win. So remember, put in your questions at reachus.adsguru.com.au. We'll pick the best question, and then you're in for a prize. So make sure you do that. And I guess from Brad and I, till tomorrow night, that's it, and see you later. Thanks, Brad.
See you guys later. Thanks very much, John.